the sky, and we're standing side by side as your shadow crosses mine. What it takes to come alive. It's the way that I feel, I can't deny, but I've got to let it go. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place.
This is Summer, Seattle Circuit Music and Art. I'm Darek Mazzone, and I'm your host. Thanks for being here. And I'm looking forward to presenting our next summer artist, the next summer session with Joe Kye. He is a Korean-American artist, violin-looper. He's an immigrant. He was born in Korea, came to the United States, raised in Seattle. Indie string pop violinist, looper, and vocalist. That's the way to define it, but he's so much more than that. He's really interesting. He presents a really intriguing story and is very personable in the way he presents his work. After studying music and culture at Yale University, Kye left a career as a high school educator to pursue music full-time. Kye has toured the United States with performances opening for world-renowned cellist Yo-Yo Ma, comedian Hari Kondablu, rapper Warren G, and his music has also been featured on NPR Politics podcast. Kye recorded his first TEDx talk in November of 2018 and has been invited to speak on immigration, creativity, and cultural activism at schools, community organizations, spiritual centers. Kye is a board member of Bravo Youth Orchestra in Portland, Oregon, where he makes his home. Thank you, Joe Kye. Welcome to Sama.
Thanks for having me.
Who were the other performers?
So you had Brian Chris Rogers on the rap, guitar, and fake horn. You had Andre Filling on the bass. So both of those players are from Sacramento, California.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Andres Salazar, who is based in Los Angeles, on the drums.
Okay, that's great stuff. How is life? How you been? How's been the times for you?
You know, life has become much better. You know, I'm the father of twins. They'll be 2 in a few weeks, and thank you. I'd say the first year of the pandemic was really difficult, but once I've transitioned into kind of life as a father, and also having the privilege of having a roof over my head and you know, not having to worry about where our meals are coming from. It's been great to be able to nest with my babies and not go on tour and have that kind of concentrated time to sing ditties about poopy diapers instead.
Yeah. And you're speaking of that. Let's get this thing going. You've got a couple of things going on. You've used this time to actually do a lot of, shall we say, creative manifestation. You have Hi Joe Kye, which is a new children's project. I had to segue. You said poopy diapers, so come on. You're just giving me this opening. I got to go there. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Hi Joe Kye is a new children's music project that I'm putting out. I have a new music video called ABCSEA coming out, which is on Saturday, which is a collaboration with a visual artist here in Portland who does these giant cutouts of these animated figures. So we made an alphabet song with ocean characters. The whole mission of it is really, I mean, I started listening to a lot of children's music on all these streaming platforms, and I realized there is no representation, right? All of these are coming from a very Eurocentric view. And I wanted to make sure that my kids, you know, could hear themselves, right, as well as see themselves. So, you know, I was making up songs about our neighborhood park, about, you know, their grandparents, aka my mom, and then also, you know, dipping dumplings in soy sauce, because these are natural and funny and parts of their life that I want to make sure that they have songs to sing along to.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that. That's awesome. It is Asian American Heritage Pacific Islander Month right now, and I thank you for being here. It's also a freaking time right now. There's violence, there's stupidity, there's fear, I don't want to say stupidity because I'll say fear. There's xenophobia. All of this stuff is going on at the same time the pandemic is happening. We're definitely going through some kind of tester here, if you like, pull focus on this time and place that we're in right now. Like, wow, that's an interesting time for people growing up there. So you have your father now, and that changes you. I'm a dad too. You're an immigrant, so you came here not speaking this language. Same situation. So I think what ends up changing is that, to me, and please, if I'm wrong, tell me. It's not about you anymore, obviously, and then it's about, like, what am I going to leave my children? But at the same time, it's not what I'm going to leave my children. What am I going to make now better for everybody? And it feels like everything is in this space. And looking at your TED Talk, it was like you've been addressing this stuff for a while here. How did your identity as an immigrant, coming from Korea, being a performer, and the fact that you had a job, you were said you were a teacher, and you talked about your mom, and it's like the same situation with my mom is like, you're fine. What are you doing? And now on top of that, you're a dad. Like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be doing this. This is that's not a path for you. You're an immigrant. Just, So, I'm giving little highlights, but tell me how this came about. That suddenly, hi, Joe Kye.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we moved here. My dad moved here to get his PhD and to pursue higher education with kind of stars in his eyes, I think, and all of us had stars in our eyes. And once they realized how difficult it was for an Asian man with an accent to get, a tenure track professor job in the humanities, he ended up moving back. And I think, although we grew up here, there was always a sense of what might have been, and I think on their parts, the feeling that they didn't do enough for us. And so what do they want for us? All the things that they sacrificed, right? Stability, security, and then why would you not want those? Status, why would you not want those things? And so I graduated from college and applied, was teaching high school English at the Overlake School just outside of Seattle, Washington.
Redmond, Washington.
And then I was applying for PhD programs. And I was writing these proposals. I'm going to study Asian American musicians who are writing music for the purpose of identity formation and political community building, which would basically be me following in the footsteps of my father, right? And making up, I think, for some of the things that he did not have access to. But I soon realized, after talking to some actual PhD people, I didn't actually want to listen and analyze and critique culture, right? In a little library cubicle. I wanted to create that culture. And so, yeah, that's what I did. It does help that my partner is a doctor, at least one of us is. Although I'm the man, so I guess that's what I should be doing.
Wow, I'm just gonna let that go.
Yeah, so it's I'm very lucky to do what I do, and I think kind of what you were saying about the times that we live in, I think it's immensely important, right, that we are generative and creative in our thinking and our practice, right, so that we can imagine a world that is different from this and guide towards people towards that universe and that culture that we wish to see and be a part of.
Bass.
mistakes, so have you. I'll make mistakes, so will you.
One of the reasons that I co-founded Sama was that I wanted to create an opportunity where immigrants from different parts of the world can present their culture and not in just like folkloric ways, which is beautiful, but in ways that represent who they are right now, because they're in a different place right now. And often when you say Korean, you know, there's like, it's your food, boy bands, and some history, the war, like there isn't, you're not getting enough of the complexity of the culture unless you're actually living in a neighborhood, knowing about it, you know, maybe in LA. But even that, there's these weird cultural walls and boxes. And it was like, we're not going to get to know each other as human beings until we can actually see and share and experience these things, not just in that folkloric way. Once again, I love it, but in who we are right now in this space. And I'm curious if you can go a little deeper when you're like, okay, you're getting a PhD in this subject, you're going to be studying this thing. Did you know you wanted to make it for a while? Or was it like, did you have an epiphany?
It was a guilty pleasure, right? I mean, even while I was teaching, right, my therapy was going into my room and writing songs. I mean, I've been writing songs since age 16, but you know, if I wasn't going to become the next Midori or Yo-Yo Ma, which I had no desire to practice scales for 12 hours a day, then I wasn't going to be achieving the things that they sacrificed for. And so, yeah, writing these kind of emo love ballads at age 16, or writing songs about losing my identity, you know, in college, these were all kind of things I did on the side. And it's something that I never really considered until I became independently stable, right? And had that sense of, okay, I can make a living for myself here in America. What do I actually enjoy, and what, you know, this, and so now I think to myself, this is what they sacrificed for, right? Yeah. So that I can actually do what makes me happy and make a living doing it. So.
Yeah.
I sit all alone in a heap as I wait by the door. Cry in my sleep, in my dreams as I wait for more. So where are you? Where are you? Why did you go? Where are you? Where are you? Why?
You know, there's a way, we had discussed this, where you can present a political argument against white supremacy. And white people are like, But if you present culture, if you present music especially, it softens their heart.
There are multiple facets to it, right? Art and creativity is one part. However, I think, so I'll root it in an anecdote. I just lost a fan who unfollowed me on Twitter because I've been posting musical jingles and ditties about, you know, my experience, right? Whether it's microaggressions, speaking out against microaggressions in a humorous, lighthearted way, or just, you know, little snippet. Fuck white supremacy, etc., etc. And they messaged me and said, I liked it better when you just played beautiful music. And I said, well, there's the door, like, feel free to unfollow me. And they were like, well, I already did. And so I guess what I'm saying is art is one part of it, right? And I think it's easy to, art is one part of it, right? Declaring your humanity and presenting it. But it also takes conversation, what we're doing right now, to actually pull back some of these layers, contextualize it, both from an interpersonal level, rooted in anecdotes as well. I mean, if you think about blues music and how, you know, black blues music and how popular it was in kind of mainstream American society, like, anyone who listens to blues music you cannot deny the suffering, right? The human suffering that lies within that music. But it takes more than just listening to the music, right? To I think about how you can actually participate in a world that is more equitable.
It's beautiful that you're actually able to contextualize it like that. And I'm super curious is like what our conversation will be like in 10 years.
Depends on what happens.
I know, but it feels like this is the beginning of this. And I'm trying to draw a parallel to it. I'm trying to think of like, when you brought blues, I was thinking like Howling Wolf in London in 1963, 64, all these artists coming in and people going nuts for them, like all over the world. And the same with jazz musicians, these African-American artists coming in and connecting with people that had their own sense of blues, but it's just something happened there. And it's something, you're right, it's contextual, but there's something about the vibrational quality of music that just like seems to just get into the heart in a different way. I don't know what it is. It just feels, and when it's like presented like this, and when it's presented from an immigrant and artist experience, I just feel like you're able to open up doors that you can't open in academia. You can't open anywhere else. It's just, you can have like a great conversation amongst your fellow faculty members and maybe your other PhD students, but making that change where like in 10 years, like what just happened here?
Right, because music exists on a spiritual plane, and yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I grew up listening to KEXP, and I've listened to Super Suckers and like just Oklahoma rock and roll, right, of the 2000s, and that's not, I shouldn't be doing that, right? But I could feel, right, the disenfranchisement. I could feel the anger towards a larger system. I mean, so that's what music is able to do, right? Is there's a much more elemental, spiritual, sacred, dare I say, right, element that it grabs your heart and makes you feel, even though you might not think that you should.
The sun never sets below.